Hello everybody, Hassan Shariq, regulated Canadian immigration consultant, back with another video on Canadian immigration. My prayers and wishes that all of you, along with your families, are doing really well wherever in the world you are. We had an express entry draw today and it was an all-inclusive draw, so great news for applicants who are from the Federal Skilled Worker Program category, majority of whom are from outside of Canada. For about 4 months, we saw that we were only having targeted draws. We had an FSWP inclusive draw about 4 weeks ago, and now we again had an all-inclusive draw today. Some of the highlights I'll share at the end of the video. Before that, let's have a look at the composition of the pool that has been shared by IRCC and make a comparison of how the numbers are as compared to they were 2 weeks ago.
So these are the details for the express entry round of invitation for today. This was draw number 158, August 5th, 2020. Number of invitations issued 3,900. The cutoff CRS stood at 476. This is 2 CRS points less than the last all-inclusive draw, which happened about 4 weeks ago. Tie-breaking rule, July 27. So if you had a score of 476 and your profile was created on or before July 27th at this particular time on the UTC time zone, you would have received an ITA, or you would be receiving an ITA within next about 20 hours, 20 to 24 hours. Looking at the composition of the pool, and this is as it was on August the 4th, 2020. This is how it is structured. And for a bit of analysis on this, we'll have a look at this. So we have the numbers from today's draw and how it was 2 weeks ago. So the top score range, which is 601 to 1200, we now had 519 applicants. It was 383, so there is an increase of about 150. There's also an increase of about 180, about 200 for people with score range of 501 to 600. People within 451 to 500, the overall number has increased by about 600 people, so not too much, but there is an increase. For people with 401 to 450, it's almost consistent, an increase of about something like about 70 people in there. People within the score range of 351 to 400, again a similar number, a decline of about 600 people. The total number of people in the express entry pool is almost similar to how it was about 2 weeks ago, with a decline of only about 90 people in there. So the overall number of people still has declined, and this has been declining ever since. It was close to 148,000 people somewhere in early April. So this has come down. The important bracket of 451 to 500, that is where we see the numbers to be staying where they were about 2 weeks ago. So not much of a difference. Within the individual score ranges, we see that it is again consistent. There's a slight increase. So if we add the number of people who were between 1200 to 480, this turns out to be around 1800 applicants within this score range. And that's where we see that about 1800 people have gone out of this. And then there's 5000 people who were between 480 to 471. So this gives an average number of about 500 people for each CRS score. And to accommodate for the next about 2000 people, that's where we saw the score dropping down to 476, around 500 people for each score. So if we take that same average, we see that the increase in this bracket compared with how it was 2 weeks ago is about altogether it is about 300 for this particular score range, and it is another, I would say, 500 for this particular score range. So that's how the express entry pool is standing right now. And now let's have a look at how things might unfold in the coming days.
So, looking at these numbers, a few of the takeaways that we can have. First, in my opinion, from now onwards, we will most likely all of the draws will be all inclusive draws, which will be great news for applicants from outside of Canada or people who have foreign work experience and are part of the FSWP category. The reason is that more recently IRCC has notified a new policy guideline, and I've mentioned this in one of my videos, that they've notified that anybody who receives an ITA as a result of an express entry draw has initially 90 days to submit all the required documents. If an applicant is not able to submit any of the required documents within those 90 days, reason for that might be that the country that they're living in, there is a lockdown or some of the offices are closed. They can provide an explanation that why were they not able to provide those documents. The case officer will have a look at that explanation and will allow an additional 90-day deadline. Now, if the applicant is not able to provide documents within those additional 90 days as well, and has not provided a further explanation, the application will be returned and a refund will be given to the applicant. If the applicant is able to provide an explanation, then that application will be kept on hold and will not be refused. So this policy clearly indicates that IRCC is now ready in terms of its own policy decision to start inviting FSWP applicants or applicants from outside of Canada, and they have come up with a measure for allowing people to proceed with their applications even if they're not able to provide some kind of mandatory documentation. And now we see that after this policy guideline being announced by IRCC, we had an all-inclusive draw today. In my opinion, all the draws or majority of the draws from now onwards will be all-inclusive draws. Second important piece is that we saw that today's draw, today's Wednesday, and historically, this is before the COVID situation, the express entry draws were always on a Wednesday. The draws being on Thursday was during the COVID situation. So it was an all-inclusive draw, and the draw happened on Wednesday. This clearly indicates that IRCC is back to its normal processing of express entry rounds of invitation. This year's target for federal programs stands at about 90,000 PR spots for the whole of year. Looking at the number of invitations that have been issued, it seems that we will most likely have about draws will happen almost every 2 weeks, and we can look at a number of around 3,900 invitations in all upcoming draws every 2 weeks. So this number would stay there. Now, if the number stays at about 3,900 invites or maybe 3,500 plus invites every 2 weeks, and these are all inclusive invites, then the CRS is likely to drop between 2 to 4 CRS points in every round of invitations. And based on this, we can expect the cutoff CRS to drop to 460s. It can be 465, around 465, in about I would say 4 to 5 round of invitations from now. So my own expectation is that CRS can definitely drop to 460s within this year if the frequency of draws remains every 2 weeks or maybe every 2 to 3 weeks, and the number of invitations in each round of invitation is 3500 plus, and it's an all-inclusive one. If it will go below that, is something that we'll have to wait and watch, because we also have to have a look as to how many people are entering the pool every 2 weeks. Because we know that still there are a lot of countries where we have a lockdown, where IELTS is still not being offered. So we will have to have a look as to how many people can enter the pool in high score ranges. But most likely the cutoff CRS is expected to drop down to 460s in coming maybe around 2 months time from now. So that's a positive for FSWP applicants. I think that's all from my side for today. If you have any queries and questions, feel free to post that in the comment section. For those of you who received an invitation and would like to use our paid services for representation of your applications, feel free to send an email to us. If you have other queries in terms of Canadian immigration and would like to use our firm services, write to us through our email address, and we'll be happy to take on your case and assist you. Till the next time that we meet, take care and Allah Hafiz.